And hello, welcome. This is your GM in the Great Barrier, broadcasting from the center of your entertainment galaxy. We are coming to you with another adventure, Star Trek adventure, Broken Sword, Episode 2. I'll leave pronunciation for a later point, but yes, we are coming back with most of our crew and possibly some to join later. Until that point, I figure that we're just going to go ahead and get underway here. Um, I will make a quick note for those that were off stream. For the time being, as I'm using the current display, I've decided that after some tweaking, I'm going to do it where this will be the view that you see. The roles will be off screen, but I'm going to try to do my due diligence as your GM to make sure that the roles are read off. The players can obviously see, but it's not something at present that the audience has as clearly. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of that and that I will try to do better on that in the future. Um, with that, we are going to get started with a log for this evening. So, Rev, please take it away.
Doctor's Journal, 113th day of the fourth shed of exile. The universe hates me. Everything was planned. The ship's second was as Klingon as they come, and easily pushed toward challenging that captain who held me here. I was so close toward returning to my practice, enjoying peace and quiet. I could taste it. Instead, I find myself on a ship all but venting into space, touching down on a barely habitable world with more patience than we have supplies. At least the surviving crew is tolerable. The new captain was every bit as enjoyable to put back together as I expected. His therapy creature is quite delightful. Our navigator is skilled and quick-witted. Raldar is no Gorn, but seems proficient. And Woe is, well, Woe. Treatment of the patients is going as well as can be expected. Hydration, intravenous nutrient solutions have stabilized them. Most have yet to regain consciousness. I do believe I am making strides at calming the girl. She no longer strikes at me, simply gives me a wide berth. Studies of mammalian bonding patterns suggest that within a week she should view me as a source of beneficial care and will lose any of these negative traits. Study of the patient's genetic structures, in comparison with the helmsman Isaac, has proven invaluable to my research. Whatever caused this racial dimorphism was a mutagen of exquisite design, reminiscent of my own work on Gornar. Klingon genetic therapies produce an inferior version of the ridged variant. I am Gorn. I will surpass this. In short, I will remain aboard this flying death trap until my patients are discharged. I will play the simple Gorn doctor. No one else has the skill needed to care for them, and I will not allow them to die. As always, I close this entry in the hope that perhaps one day it will find its way into your claws. Sislaskis, I miss you, and I long to see you again, although it will never be. I pray that as Yahaza turns her gaze from me in disapproval, it will fall upon you for blessings uncountable. End log.
Spectacular. And so we cut back to the An, which at present is in a very difficult state. Um, Scarcely a day since your near encounter with the Imperial fleet, and the successful challenge Tabak made to Captain Kalvak's rule. You have all undoubtedly been tried either by, in the doctor's case, treating the large number of crew and the large number of passengers and keeping your crew in a fit state to work, whilst most of the rest of the crew has either been trying to keep the ship flying straight or capable of flying at all. Indeed, the damage has been so extensive, some compartments remain uh, unreachable on the ship, um, such that you've had to close them off. While other sections have been just brought to a barely sort of livable status. But navigating through this interstellar soup that is Clack de Kelbracht, you are on your way towards a world, one you are very nearly approaching, where you might be able to put down one that is habitable enough for your purposes, so far as you can tell. There's been considerable sensor interference, so and this world does not seem to have been previously charted, so there's a great deal of mystery that you're walking into. Um, all of that said, I will now turn it over to you here. So, I guess first order of business, looking down to the new captain, Tabok. What would be sort of orders of the day, or what would be your priority on this first day since the battle and challenge?
Probably still stomping around trying to put things back together that I just the other day finished putting back together. And yelling at people to help me and to take care of their own stuff at the same time, and generally being more grumpy than an angry Klingon
Hmm.
normally is.
Hmm.
Um,
Would you want that to be a scene, and would you like a scene with anyone in particular right now? Only bearing in mind Woe is presently away.
at the moment, I can't think of a scene to use at this point. Again, his main concern is just trying to keep this bucket flying long enough to get down on the ground so he can fix the things he can't get to.
I see. I see. Uh, that being the case, we will get to more of that in a short while. Um, for the rest of you, certainly the uh, Tabak will seem to be very much um, oriented towards the business of keeping the ship running. In some ways, it is scarcely a change from when you knew him before, or rather, when he was the lead engineer aboard this ship. Um, I would imagine, Tabak, that means more time for you uh, in the crawl spaces and possibly the reactor pit as opposed to the bridge of the ship. You know,
More than
unless it needs
likely,
repairs.
yes.
Yeah. So
That's
then,
probably where I'd end up is on the bridge, just doing systems checks, doing diagnostics, sitting in the captain's chair whenever the cat's not there. Yeah,
uh,
Yeah,
uh,
but you're also going to be busy fixing things. Everybody knows some of the systems that they normally work on. So,
yep.
yeah,
I shall lend a hand every now and then.
and when I
yes,
catch you sitting in the captain's chair, you're going to get a whack in the back of the skull. I
uh,
believe the ancient Terran term is a Gibbs.
yes. I am going to guess Tabak is at least careful enough not to smack him with the back of his hand.
Correct. Correct. That would be insulting
Yes, that would warrant
and
another
and
challenge.
warrants a challenge, and I'm not up for that.
Yep. Yeah. So, uh, we'll follow up with you there, Korg. Between repairs and Tabak giving you the occasional smack to get out of his chair, and perhaps outside of the occasional times that Cheshire is not overseeing the seat. What would be your main priorities?
Honestly, I would probably. I'm getting a feel for this whole captain's chair thing. So, making sure that I'm up to date on protocol and command lingo, things that people might need in a pinch that I might not know. Basically, studying up for like the Klingon equivalent of a captain's exam.
Well, you find that there are roughly 90-year-old manuals. So what would have passed for last century's Imperial fleet? To be fair, a lot does seem to be in order, although, as you well know from your experience, that some elements of custom have changed in those intervening years. For one thing, there's most of the references on uniforms when they show up are somewhat outdated. Um, After the Kuvat virus ravaged the Empire, there was an eventual decision to embrace a uniform that was more sort of, for one thing, very uniform, very sort of heavy, but also most notably there was the decision to include a metal helm of sorts. Not something necessarily armored, or it wasn't always heavy enough for armor, um, but it was enough to project a sense of style as well as resist some blows. Most notably, it was an armor that was stylized in order to represent the sort of original, rather, it was meant to communicate that the individual was Klingon specifically by the ridges on the forehead of the helmet. So you might, for example, expect, let me locate it here. Ah, I see where it is. This would have been closer to the look that you would expect in that era. It is undoubtedly a uniform that you yourself had to wear for, or even though you yourself were a Hemkush, there was an expectation of uniformity within the service. So within those parameters, that is at least one area where it's out of date, and there were probably a few other customary changes that came with the evolving service. So you are slightly dubious of how useful the manual might be, but between that and the sort of the relative difference in discipline, this does remind you you are no longer on an Imperial ship. Or you're on a ship built for the Empire, certainly, but not one that conducts itself quite in that way.
Fair enough. Good information to take in.
Yeah. Speaking of others who serve the Empire, Raldar,
Yes.
I would imagine Tabak doesn't need to do much to cajole you into action so far as repairing the ship goes. But I am curious what else you may be doing, any other interactions you might be having at this time.
Oh, just probably at the moment, probably trying to fix the EPS conduit that exploded on him.
Mm. Reinforcing it with extra rocks so that it'll never blow out on you like that again.
The cement machine is running just fine.
Yes, yes. Would you like a scene with anything regarding that?
Not that I can really think of.
Okay. Well, Be warned, one will come for some of you at some point. So
Oh yes.
we'll, as the cement mixer runs in engineering, Doctor, what would you say Kresik is up to, or what would you say is what he would be doing to conduct himself during this day?
He would be more than likely in the cargo bay,
Mm.
where all of the patients are. Considering that there is nobody else who is going to be helping him, he's going to be stretched pretty thin.
Yep. It is a most exhausting time, I would be sure. For with the kusha that you have roused from the or roused from stasis, in many cases it was of course done with suboptimal conditions, and as such they are now in many cases somewhat infirmed. The sort of a sort of post-stasis sickness or enfeeblement, if you will. Um, and there is considerable struggle among some of them. The one who is most roused is the small child who, as noted, continues to evade you, but at least has finally declined from grabbing hold of any bits of rebar or shrapnel that might have come from the previous damage the cargo bay sustained, and has declined from attacking you of late.
Yeah, I really think she's taking a liking to me, honestly.
Yep. Yep. You
Adopt then.
you may hear the
Um, Go ahead.
I was just going to say you may hear the occasional growl from closer and closer cargo containers as she will peer around and look to you.
Yeah, and I have left food and conveniently turned food and water and conveniently turned my back and walked away toward another patient on several occasions.
Mm, certainly, certainly. Well,
I think the only thing that I'm trying to do other than stabilize them is try and figure out if I can determine anything linking these people together other than them just being Klingons.
mm,
Like,
well,
are they related to each other? Can I get any information based off of, clothing, that they're all from the same location, stuff like that?
I would be prepared to do that. And let us do. Oh dear, we have threat and momentum bookkeeping to do, or rather upkeep to manage as well. So first and foremost, we have finished an adventure. I'm going to ask Raldar that you drop 2 of those momentum you have there. I will allow you to keep 2 from your last adventure going into this. And
All
then
right.
for our player group, we are playing with 5, and the 5th player, although late, was at least nice enough to let me know with some advance notice that they weren't going to make it, so I will impose no penalty, but I am going to take 1 threat for each of you as we are starting a new adventure here. Um, with that said, uh, Kresik, you do get the first roll of the evening, and I will ask you for a reason and medicine task with a difficulty of 2. This would normally be a difficulty of 1, but even with the hand medical equipment, you do have some of your regular medical equipment on hand and some things that have been jury rigged. This is still a slightly less optimal setup, and power's not always consistent. So
Right. Would I get any assistance from the ship? But probably not because I'm not actually in the med bay, right?
yeah, I would say that given the jury-rigged setup with the equipment, while
If
you are
nobody's taking this
technically you're technically hooked into the ship's power, maybe a few things on a reserve battery pack. You don't have the ship's medical systems right here to help you.
All right. Any focuses apply? Paranormal phenomena? One of these days, the answer's going to be yes. One of these days.
One of these days, but it is not this day.
Okay. What other ones?
Anything else?
Genetics, xenobiology. Those are the only other two that I think could potentially apply.
I would accept
depending
those.
on what the answer is.
I think that there's actually a pretty close argument for genetics. So go ahead and roll that. I'm not spending any threat, so you have no increase to your complication range here.
All right. Difficulty 2, you said?
That is correct. All
Tragic.
right. Well, I will at least give you partial information. That roll is 1 success with no complications, so at least you don't inadvertently give your patients something they're allergic to.
I do not give them a paranormal phenomena. That is
or accidentally stab them.
Yes, no jabbing anyone in the eyes with the standard issue Klingon bladed medical scanner. Yes.
Very good.
Who needs a diktak for the regular services when you can just put a bayonet on all the equipment? But in all seriousness, Kresic, as near as you can tell, some of these people are related. It seems as though there were probably a couple families that were among the group here. This does actually serve one question that I don't recall if we sorted out. There were 6 stasis pods that were... yes, I believe 6 of the stasis pods were actually still functional. And the Klingons in those pods were also perfectly stable. Did you elect to revive them as well, or have you left them in the pods?
I obviously would have deferred to the captain, but my recommendation would be if they're still functional, we don't need more mouths to feed.
I see.
And I would agree with that entirely.
All right. Then we will go with that for the time being. But yes, near as you can tell from the readings, yes, some of those that were in stasis, some that are presently there, do appear to be related at the very least. It wouldn't be that far of a stretch to guess that all of these people were even possibly from the same colony at some point. Or they might have been from the same world. And I would say that in your time here, you might have even started to develop a reasonable, you might have picked up just as a hobby sort of bits of information about where various people might have been from, or noted some interesting trends as far as presence or absence of certain nutrients or chemical compounds, depending on that. You don't have enough information to fit any sort of profile, and the computers are not in a very good state to provide that information for you, partly since you're not working with the ship's medical systems. But I will say that it does look as though there are a couple families in this ship.
All right. Does it appear that the girl is related to any of them?
Yes, it does. I will say she's related to... there is, among your patients, one Klingon male. I would put him mid to late 30s. That appears to be of some relation. You would guess based on the number of chromosomes and genetic material shared between the two of them, it is most likely her father. Her mother does not seem to be among them, though.
Equally possible that she wasn't taken, or that she could be in one of the 6, or that she could be dead.
I will go ahead and say that because you don't have the genetic material necessarily from those in the stasis pods. You have enough readings to give you a vague sense that there's probably some relation, but as part of not completely succeeding at the task, I will say that you are uncertain of that.
That is fine by me.
Yes. So amidst your tasks, are you doing anything to? Are there any scenes rather that you would like to have with any other members of the crew? At anything you'd want to do amongst the rest of them?
The only other thing that I would be doing is just checking up on our grievously wounded captain from time to time to make sure that none of my field medicine patches have started to, open back up.
Hmm. I
But other than that,
I think that is
I'm just going to be staying focused.
that's perfectly fine. I think that now would be a perfect time for a scene with something to that effect. Um, so I will let you pick whether you order him to the med bay or whether you've decided that it's either by nature of the fact that he's stubborn or you are not entirely sure how he would respond to it, given that this is not a proper military vessel. Whether you just want to go meet him in engineering on the bridge, what have
Or
you.
wherever I happen to be stomping around, because I'm
Yes,
going to be all over the ship.
I
indeed. So,
think the last time I tried to get him to come to the med bay, it led to me having to go to him. So I would just follow that same pattern. I
well,
would first identify where he is and then head to his location.
okay. Um, as you move from the subdeck at the bottom of the ship, um, and specifically that cargo or the cargo bay area, um, it's a bit of course, you're starting to get a little more used to the idea of dipping under the bulkheads and especially under the doors, but it's been a process, certainly. Um, the comms in this section have not always been consistent, but since the repairs that were made yesterday, they're starting to get better. There is at least one reliable port that you could access before heading up. You could there's a strong chance of finding him if you go to the reactor pit entry on the subdeck level, since he, chances are, might be on one of the 3 levels there. That's just a quick ladder climb away once you're in that room.
Then that's what I will do.
All right. You enter the engine room and are greeted with just the cacophonous rattling of machinery, the sounds of blow torches and like other various machinery that Raldar has set up on the deck above you, as he is firmly bolting down the systems on the door. There's a bit of an acrid smell from the residual ozone that's coming off. As you make your way up, Tabak, would you say that you are in the engine room as well at this moment, or is that where you would
Oh,
like to be?
yeah. Let's just make it easy. Yes, at this particular moment, I am in the engine room. It sounds like we're trying to work on a steam calliope hooked up to a Chevette that has no oil. So it's just noisy and rattly and horrible smelling and hot. And I'm probably cursing a storm and a half
Yeah.
as I'm trying to bash things back together.
Of which, Kresic, as you come up, you are probably hearing approximately 2/3 of said storm of cursing, um, as Raldar works away at the equipment. I'll move everyone to engineering here. Uh, and yeah, you
All
find
right.
yourself on the deck.
I think actually now that I see Raldar here, I'll probably go to him first since he was the one that I had to give Gorn adrenaline to.
Mm,
Um, so I'll head over to Raldar side effects hit yet.
Are you talking about the perpetual tiredness?
Tiredness, possible third limb growth.
Nothing like that.
I toss him a.
Drowsiness?
Mhm.
Yep.
I toss him a hypo. When it gets to dangerous levels, take this.
I see. I'll keep that in mind.
And when you can, you should get some rest. When you can.
I'll get some rest after mealtime.
Do not eat the therapy mammal.
Therapy mammal?
Yes.
If I'm too tired to make it to that mess hall, it will have to worry about that.
Fair
Okay.
enough. And I will head over to where the screams and curses are coming from.
Yes, which you can
No
hear
scream,
more of.
just yelling, not scream.
Yeah, yelling.
Yes.
Unless I've done something very wrong, then there will probably be a scream in pain.
And
Then,
then
you know.
dousing with a fire extinguisher.
Yes, or there'd be the smallest instance of a scream in that moment before antimatter containment completely fails and the ship goes up.
No, at that point, it would just be good cha. And then we're atomized, so, you know.
Yep.
It's like crossing the
Least-
streams at that point.
At least you won't have to. Yeah, at least you won't have to worry about the ship falling apart anymore.
Hey, but yeah, I won't have to worry about anything.
And I think that a ship blowing up, even in space, that resonates enough that warriors in Stovall know that someone else is coming.
That's assuming I'm ending up in Stovall.
That's true.
I think I will. I can only hope.
Yep. But yes, as technical problems abound and various relays seem to flash with warning lights at alternating points, no matter how much you try to divert, how you try to adjust EPS flows, and
Yeah, I'm trying to work on a motor that's still running.
yes, exactly. But as you do so, some of the residual light from behind you is obscured as a different Gorn from the one you are used to working with comes up from behind.
And I do, just to get on his level, I get down on all fours, to be,
Yeah, because I'm probably
trying
like
to be so intense.
I'm probably on my back underneath a panel,
That's kind of how I pictured it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would make sense, yes.
What do you want, Doctor?
The dermal regenerated flesh is holding.
So far, it's a little tight, but it will stretch. Will it not?
Good. It will.
Good. Although I think I may have torn one. I can't tell if that's sweat or blood in my tunic at the moment.
Probably both.
Thank you, Raldar.
I bring information from our patients. It seems they are some of them are related.
Somehow that makes sense. Ow! Damn, that was hot. Yes, what else? Anything else?
Unconscious but stable. I think the girl tolerates me.
She thinks you a monster. Which you are, but You're the kind of monster I like, so.
Good. It was enjoyable seeing you fight.
That makes one of us.
It was more enjoyable putting you back together again.
I'm so glad I could give you a little entertainment. Was there anything else?
I drop a hypo at his
Lovely.
feet. If the pain exceeds toleration, take this.
All right. I grab it and basically just put it in my toolbox. Thank you, Doctor.
Is there anything else I can do?
I don't know. Is there anything else you can do?
I can go back to the patients and ensure they remain stable, unless you need me somewhere.
Did any equipment in the sick bay get damaged?
Nothing bad enough.
Now, if anything broke, fix what you can. Leave the rest for Raldar and myself when we finally get to it.
Understood.
Unless it becomes high priority. Sorry, sick bay is low priority.
And I walk away.
At this point, I am going to ask everybody to give me an insight and engineering roll.
Oh, great. That's one of my best skills.
Was that
I will
sarcasm?
say,
That was
if you
sarcasm.
do not wish to give it to conduct that roll, then you may avoid doing so. But otherwise, I will. Like you can avoid doing the roll if you don't want to, but otherwise, I will take the highest of the rolls and award momentum on that basis. This is going to be difficulty 1.
Would
Oh,
And
no, I'm
this
going to roll.
the ship
Would
is
any of-
also going to assist with engineering and computers.
All right. Would any of my ship systems foci be useful in this?
Let me
I
take a
have
quick look.
shield systems, weapon systems, warp core, electroplasma.
None of those apply.
None of those apply?
No, none of them do.
Damn. Okay, so I don't get a focus.
Okay.
I have composure, shipboard tactical systems that I would think that I'm thinking composure if it's a stressful thing might help, but do either of those work?
I'm going to elect to say no.
Okay.
I see the argument on composure and almost went that far, but I don't think it quite works for this.
Computers?
I will accept computers.
All right.
And the digital dice are already
Yeah.
starting to hate me.
And Ezek, you can actually roll a second. Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah,
All right.
All right, I'm going to roll real quick with my astonishing. I just got to roll an 8 or under. It's fine. It is okay.
Oh.
Hey, you did just as good as me.
Better than I expected.
I needed a 15.
So, but between the noise, between the cursing, and very minor plasma burns you might be incurring working with your equipment, none of you quite hear a notification coming off of one of the consoles in engineering. However, on a bridge display near the back of the station, Azek, you actually hear something pinging from what appears to be one of the internal systems consoles. I'm going to whisper this to you in the Roll20 chat.
Okay.
And I do have to assign one momentum. If somebody would like to roll for the ship very quickly, just before I assign this, it was computers and engineering.
Right, computers engineering.
All right, so you will get 2 momentum out of this, and Azek, I may not have given you the composure focus, but I am sure that you are keeping your composure as this information comes up on your display. The only one with you on the bridge at present, besides yourself, would be Cheshire, lazily pawing at the captain's console, and the Rantal, who has elected to stay very quiet and just stay at his sensor post.
And communications are back up.
Communications are back up. They've been a little inconsistent at times, but they are. The effects of the breach have been nullified, so you should be able to reach the engine room.
Let's see. Captain Azek. Pilot Azek to Captain Tabak. Captain Tabak, do you copy?
What? What do you want?
Our sensors seem to be indicating increased CO2 levels. Life support are beginning to degrade. I promise I did not run the ship into anything more than what we saw earlier. So we might want to get some engineering crew and take a look at that.
Engineering crew, right? Raldar. Unless you're doing something that will explode if you step away from it. Check life support, check all of the tankage for backup systems. We apparently have a CO2 increase in the atmosphere.
Oh. Fucking scrubbers are turning off again.
Again? Oh. Yeah, but we fixed that 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, but we've been shot since then.
Yeah, right, fine. Whatever, go fix it.
Raldar, you go over to a display, and with the success and with the engine room helping you here, you start a diagnostic right away, and it is becoming clear that the structural damage does seem to have actually caused major problems with some of the life support systems. Not simply the CO2 scrubbers, although an alarming number of them have actually failed at this point. It also seems as though the main O2 generation system and any the primary systems that would keep air recycled are starting to degrade at the rate that you are expecting it to go out. You will be able to make it to the planet, but which, so far as you know, is indeed a habitable world. However, it does mean that you honestly will probably need to switch over to reserves before then, or reserve tanks, and that you're going to need to repair this before you leave.
All right. Well, Captain, I have some bad news.
What else? What other kind is there?
Oxygen systems will fail before we reach the planet.
What about backup tankage? For
There
emergency?
should be enough for landing.
Backup tankage of atmospheric gases should last us for a month.
Yeah, but some of the tanks have holes.
Good. Can we breathe? Can we breathe the air where we're landing? That was a reason we chose the place. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Just don't go running around until we land.
I'll run when I need to, considering things are continuing to break. But thank you for the lovely bit of news. Hopefully there's something on this planet to kill. I need to release some frustration.
I will tell my patients to stop breathing.
You do that.
Krasik, I can never tell if you're being sarcastic. I'm going to assume that was sarcasm.
It was.
Good. I picked that up. See, I'm learning.
We'll see.
I get out of my engine room so I can keep fixing it. Not you, Raldar. Crescent, go on. Go away.
Permission to take the therapy mammal to the girl. I believe it may aid in calming her.
The cat. It is called a cat.
The cat.
Yes.
I can just imagine the way that slithers off of Kressik's tongue. There's
It doesn't work very well. There's a lot of hard sounds.
Right.
Yes.
You Gorn are heavy on the sibilants, and Klingons are more on the plosive fricatives. So
that would be accurate.
yes, I mean you're not speaking Klingon well enough if you're not spitting. Um,
Indeed, so.
You can try. You can try.
Good.
Hurt her, and we will have problems.
I will not hurt her. The cat.
Close. Close enough.
And I leave.
Yeah.
Leave them to it.
You lumber off, and Tabak, as you do move to check the reserve tanks, you are rather off-put, to put it mildly, to see that among one of the shots that the Korgui landed on your it landed on the Yan did actually rupture several of the reserve tanks and vent them to space. So there's another bit of hull plating that you realize you are going to have to repair.
Well, it's less the hull plating at this point, and more the atmospheric gases, because
Yes.
atmospheric gases for emergency backup are scattered all over the ship,
Yep.
and we got enough holes in them to mess us up badly. Wonderful.
Yep. As is, it does occur to you that with as many holes as the ship has been has had blown into it, the armor that this ship came with, such that it was still useful, and say what they will, they built the ship fairly well. But it is going to be difficult, if not impossible, to maintain its full effects with the structural damage. This is in meta something very likely that you are going to have to. You may be able to effect more repairs, but it may come partly at a cost of the armor that you have.
Mm-hmm. Well, that will hopefully be temporary until I can get the thing fixed better.
Yeah. So some time will elapse. Kressik, I'm uncertain, honestly, whether the cat would deign to move for you, which could work to your advantage in one sense, and so far as it may allow for you to reach it. On the other hand, it may just do the bare minimum to avoid your attempts to lift at it. I am half Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm perfectly fine with this being a montage in between repairs happening of me desperately trying to get this cat,
Yes.
and it just wiggling and slithering its way out of my grasp every time.
Yes, it's very much the it is very much that one original series episode with the Gorn slowly trying to lumber and pick it up, and the cat just moving, and maybe it's sped up slightly to make it look more impressive. But yes, very much that montage there.
Yes, while everybody else is effecting repairs and flying the ship, I'm just chasing a cat around. Yes,
Yeah.
that is exactly how I want it to be.
I
Yes,
mean,
the montage of the ship floating and sputtering, and everybody running around fixing things, and in the background, there's Presto bent over, front, arms extended, slowly chasing after the cat that's just backing up, staring at it and hissing occasionally and running away.
Exactly. That is
Yeah.
exactly what I want.
Yes.
And our lovely old captain being put in the barbecue pit.
I'm not partaking in the captain, but the Gorn and the Kazin, they're more than welcome to. It's just meat, but yeah.
You don't like the face. Understandable. We can get rid of that.
Great. You say that, and all I think of now is A Christmas Story. At the very end when they're in the Chinese restaurant, it's smiling at us. It takes out the knife, chops the head off.
Oh dear. You've not watched A Christmas Story until you've done it in the original Klingon.
Exactly.
Yes. So, some hours elapse. You are able to work with life support function at normal for a time, but there are additional sort of cascading failures that start to emerge, at which point the reserves kick in. Um, Honestly, taking the main system offline is more to help preserve some of its function or make it easier to repair once you set down. But you are on final approach to the planet, and um, Azek,
Everyone brace for impact.
yeah, are any of you moving to the bridge, or Tabak, would you be staying in the engine room?
At this point, there's not much else I can do. I need to be on the bridge where, I can keep an eye on sensor systems and my crew.
Okay,
So I'm
so
going to be back in my seat.
then,
Kresik, make sure that they are prepared for a rough landing.
so those orders would eventually make their way to you, Kresik, and I suppose then, Kresik, would you be joining them on the bridge, or would you be remaining with your patients? Where would you be for that process? Rev?
Kresik had stepped away for a moment. He
Ah,
needed to get a drink.
now,
Yes, I am returned.
ah, I see. I had missed your post there. I was just going to ask, because I believe Tabak had asked you to basically tell everyone to brace for impact, as it were, when the
Well,
landing occurs.
our guests that are
I see.
currently active.
Yes. Would you be remaining with your guests on the bridge?
Huh? I'm on the bridge.
Rather, oh, I'm sorry. Rather, I got mixed up. Partly because I notice in the one screen that Calvex's corpse is still on the bridge within one of the
Oh, that
displays.
would have been removed a long time ago.
It should be, and yet one of my the broadcast is still seeing Calvec there. I suppose he is just there for all intents and purposes. I am sorry, I did not mean to broadcast a corpse there, viewers. And that's my bad, and it is a mystery, so I'm going to try and figure that out. Um, while that is happening, so Tabak then will join the crew on the bridge. Kresik, will you be staying with your patients in the cargo bay, or
I
would
will
you?
be.
Okay, so
Yeah, absolutely. I'm making sure that everybody that is unconscious, which is everybody except for the girl, is battened down. I'm making sure that the pods are as stabilized as possible. And I tell the girl that she should find a place that's not by falling pieces of equipment. I just shout that out to the room, wherever she's at.
okay. So with that, everyone will take their appropriate positions. I suppose pre-barbecue, Calvac is just going to be where you rest your feet, Captain. At least until such a time as the GM can figure out what happened there.
Technically, I'm pretty sure the body was just thrown into the Targ pit. We don't have any Targs, but At least he's in the target.
Indeed so. The Rantal is, as you are on approach to the planet, it is going to conduct a sensor sweep. So
What about our ship? What's our ship gonna do?
the ship may assist it with sensors and science,
Okay.
which the Rantal will score 2 successes there.
What was the difficulty?
The difficulty on this was, in fact, going to be 3. Sorry, the GM
Come
has
on, ship.
Mm,
Anybody rolling for the ship?
Oh goodness. I apologize.
And actually, it occurs to me that with the ship's advanced sensor suites, that should actually... Wait, no, this ship doesn't have the advanced sensor suites. What was I thinking?
No. What's an advanced sensor suite?
Oh,
If
there
this thing
I go.
actually has sensors?
I mean, at the moment, we might just have to look out a window.
Yeah.
Hey, what about the improved RCS?
That will help with the landing process, at least.
And a blade of armor for the crashing process.
Don't say that.
That's for complications on the landing process.
All right. So what systems am I using here for the
Sensors
ship?
and science, please.
Sensors and science. A Klingon ship has science. Okay. 1 die or 2?
For the ship, it is always a single die that always has. It's always considered to have a focus.
Somebody else needs to roll for the ships because the digital dice gods hate me.
The
Also,
Ranta.
the ship hates us.
Yeah. The ship doesn't like the state that it's currently in, and probably
It loves
blames
me.
you for it in part.
I've never rolled badly with the ship.
No, the digital dice hate me. All of my dice rolls are horrible.
Well, the
I'm now
Rantal
out of
is going to try to pipe up here. Uh, Captain,
What?
well, I, I have conducted a pre-approach scan for our use. The planetoid in question appears to be marginally habitable with appropriate oxygen nitrogen environment. Appears somewhat arid, although there are some signs of moisture above surface. Vague biological signature, but I would suppose the planet is a relatively young in development. There are not many biologics nor other planets orbiting the what appears to be a red dwarf star in system.
But have you found us a good spot to land?
He looks back over to one of his consoles. There is a plateau on the night side, over the night side terminus of the planet. I am plotting location now. Sending to navigation console. And with that, Azik, there are some coordinates for a relatively nearby location where you could land the ship.
All right, set course and start praying to Stovokor. Today might be a good day to die, fellas.
Just get us onto the ground relatively unscathed.
Getting to the ground is the easy part. Unscathed might be a bigger trick.
Exactly.
I'll do my best.
That's all I ever ask.
With a speed and efficiency, the old grizzled Klingon and his one arm set numerous or like begin setting different parts of his console to appropriate position and begins to configure for landing maneuvers. Because of the because of the way that you're approaching yIvoqh, I am going to ask you, or rather, because of the state that the ship is in, I'm going to ask you to give me a daring and con roll. This task, I am going to set the difficulty to 2, and I am going to expend 1 point of threat to increase your complication range to 2. So by 1 point.
May I use piloting as my focus on this?
Absolutely.
You should take some momentum too for some extra dice.
Do that. Yeah.
And as a
Let's just buy 1.
Okay. So
Will the ship be assisting?
the ship will indeed assist with engines and con.
Somebody got that?
Oh, that's a bad
Ooh.
start.
Oh,
That
okay, yeah, the
is
ship makes it
1
too, yeah.
success and 1 complication rolled amongst
Can
that.
we please spend the momentum to make the complication go away?
Well,
That's
let's
2
see.
momentum to make the
So,
complication go away.
yes, but before that,
can-
first, Raldar, I will ask you to drop one of those momentum. As to you, Mr. Korg, you have a few ways to proceed with this. We'll call it the
You can.
first fork. You may choose to accept the complication, or there are ways to override it. In terms of overriding that, you can at least buy off the complication with 2 momentum. You can also spend your point of determination for the session. That would allow you at this point to actually re-roll the dice pool. The only condition there is that you need to cite a value that would be appropriate to the circumstance.
You know what? I like story, so we're going to keep the complication.
Okay, in that case, would you prefer a narrative or a narrative complication, or would you prefer to give the GM 2 threat?
Let's do narrative. Always go for story.
All right. So, Ezek, you begin taking the ship into the atmosphere, and you almost immediately notice that there is considerably more turbulence than you were expecting from this. Such that the inertial dampeners are not keeping pace, but you steadily adjust maneuvering thrusters in order to try and level as much of that out as possible. Um, a few panels shake loose at different points as you begin narrowing the approach. You find that, rather irritatingly, the Rantal didn't mention there are bits of cloud cover that are a little difficult to see through from the vector that you approached at. Um, and what's worse is that as you try to get through and switch over to some navigational sensors, there's a fizzle out of your there's a fizzling under your console and those nav sensors go dead. You are now flying blind as you try to make your way there, or rather the immediate sensors that would have allowed you to penetrate some of the cloud layer are gone, and you are essentially steering by what you can see on the visual display.
Everyone good if I roll for the ship?
Oh, go
Please
right
do.
ahead. There,
Complication range was increased by 1, right?
correct.
I swear, if there's another complication.
That is 1 success.
Hey, there you go.
So that is going to allow you to get to those coordinates. And as you bank, you try to move left and right, trying to steady out the ship as the turbulence continues to grow. There is a fairly spectacular rocking from the back of the ship, where the patchwork bypass system that Raldar set to work on with the disruptors bursts and sends the ship in a slightly lower angle of entry than had been previously planned. As you do, you briefly go beneath the cloud layer and catch sight of catch sight of the plateau that you are meant to approach. You do so, however, with the more immediate foreground taken up partly by by a very gentle mountain that is like sort of a rounded top. You bank to the left, but not quite enough to evade it, and there will be a violent shaking as the ship kind of scrapes alongside of it. Additional smoke and sparks fly out as the ship takes some damage, and without shields, let's let us see whether the ship is able to resist it. I'm going to roll 2d6 for this glancing blow here, and the ship still has 2 resistance from this because while the breaches, while they were sealed off and aren't directly impairing that, they do impact your resistance there. And I did not mean to roll nearly as many dice as I did.
Oh no, please no.
So rest assured that I am evaluating this based on what the challenge dice would be like, which that first roll is what I will go with. That's a 1 and a 6, so that would, on a proper d6, on a proper challenge die, that would read as a 1, and the 6 would be 1 with an effect, so that would be 2 damage. That will not actually cause a ship injury on the basis of being, say, above above a certain threshold. However, shields were down, so that actually will still constitute a 1 breach. So I'm going to roll a single d20. That is a 5 there. And the GM needs to go back because rather foolishly, the damage control page is not up. Let us take a quick look here. I am sure the handful of armchair GMs in the chat might be that have more rehearsed familiarity would be giving me that it's this, and I would say yes, you are absolutely right, but I am momentarily I have lost all track of everything. The breach was to the GM's head, and thus has momentarily disrupted my ability to identify which system was damaged. Give me a moment to conduct a restore minor action, and we will be right as rain. Except for the fact that it was actually engines. Spectacular.
Perfect. Great. Okay. Never.
As with engine damage very specifically, that particular hit has badly jostled the reactor pit, which, Raldar, you undoubtedly feel as the repairs that you made mere moments ago very nearly just burst apart at the seams, and other sort of fires and other problems start popping up. The ship is immediately going to lose 2 points of power for the impact, and yeah, I will just say that it is 2 points. And for a brief moment, the engines are cut out and you are gliding here. So you have seconds to restore the ship's engines before risking a much harder landing than you had hoped.
Oh shit! The
Raldar.
config machine's broken.
Raldar, get the engine back online before we eat this mountain.
All right. Let's go. Let's try to fix this fucking mountain.
Well,
Not the mountain. You don't want to eat the mountain. We want the engines to work. At least for a few seconds.
Tomato potato.
The good news is that only takes a restore minor action to do so.
All right.
So, minor action. Describe to me what would Raldar's modus operandi be to get the engines back into working order after they basically there's a hiccup, they stop working for a moment.
Well, we're at the planet now. Life support doesn't need power anymore.
So Raldar's just gonna run to a console, smash all the buttons, reroute life support to engines.
That's
It's
fine.
fine.
All right. Well, with that, I will say that you have that, and you manage to reinitiate the engines. With the slight bit of extra speed that you've picked up in these moments, I am going to ask for essentially an emergency stop and slow task as a final bit of this complication here. I will say that this would normally be a difficulty one to set down. However, because the engines have, with scoring the one breach, your engines have taken damage equivalent to half the scale of the ship. As such, the difficulty of all tasks that involve or are assisted by the ship's engines will increase by 2. So this is going to be a difficulty 3 task to basically fire the braking thrusters and make sure you can land without incurring more damage. So, Azig, this is
I'm going to buy an extra dice again. I think that's going to be beneficial for us.
okay. This will be another daring and con roll, if you please. And the ship can assist with engines and con.
I think this time composure would probably be the best focus I can use on that.
Oh yeah, piloting still works. Composure is appropriate.
No,
Oh
that red
no.
0. No.
Well, that is a 19, and I did not spend another point of threat, so actually I will not count that. That will just be the 2 successes there. However, that is still 1 shy of what you need, so somebody
With the
that,
ship assist?
yes, with engines and con, so somebody that is not Tabok, if you value your lives, should
That
probably
was
roll.
cold. That was cold.
The GM
I,
could not resist.
I got you. Engines and con.
Mm-hmm.
Complication range of 1. Rolling.
All right, and you pull up as hard as you can, Azik, waiting for the. There's a slight delay as the engines don't quite kick up with the speed that you were hoping for, um, but with a quick sort of. I'd honestly guess with your elbow you're able to knock into a button that would give you the braking thrusters here. Um, but it fires up the like outside the ship. These great jets roar from both under the ship and ahead of it, um, firing out and slowing the weary raptor quite considerably, until finally it's still not quite a perfect landing. There's a bit of a skid or slide onto the area of the plateau. It's honestly more a valley type area, but it does allow the ship to land in the midst of the darkness on this unknown planetoid in Clock de Kelbracht. The ship angles slightly upwards when it finally comes to rest, but it is at the very least intact, and you are not all bloody smears on your respective bulkheads.
Yeah, at least the inertial dampeners held.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been messy otherwise. Any systems at all functioning aside from artificial gravity?
Uh, Will calls out, I got the torpedo. I got the torpedo still working.
Helpful. Are comms up? Internal comms?
That's the sort of thing where you should try to talk to people now, isn't it?
The cat has rejoined the Roll20.
Was that a yes or a no?
The Rantal at this point is going to pipe in. Comm systems appear to be working in as good order as they were, Captain.
Everyone, sound off. Tell me your condition, location. Now.
Appear to have kept my one arm. I'm good.
Cressy?
Are all my patients fine?
That's what I'm asking.
I don't know. I am asking. I'm
Yeah,
asking Mr. GM, sir.
Yes.
Oh.
People were definitely jostled about. There might have been a couple patients, unless you took some means to restrain them, that might have rolled off after the mountain contact.
I did want to restrain them. Would that be something I would have to roll for to
I
see if it
will.
worked?
I will not compel you to roll for that. So that will. I will say then that mostly succeeded.
Wait, when you say restrain, do you mean give them seatbelts, or do you mean truss them up with some garlic and rosemary?
I mean, I got what supplies I could, which was probably just a bunch of rope that was in the cargo bay, and I tied them to my makeshift beds
Okay.
because I have to make do with what I have.
As do we all. Hello?
Hello,
Okay, there.
and hello very specifically to hello there, Woe. You have arrived just in time for the ship to crash.
Oh,
Kind of.
fantastic timing then.
Yes, absolutely. It's been a treat so far this evening.
Yep.
Cat was sitting in the captain's chair during this event, so we can blame it.
No, I was
Who,
in
the
the
cat?
captain's chair. No, I was in the captain's chair.
The cat was
He
in
No,
your
tried
lap.
to deflect and defend the cat.
The cat was probably
No,
on my shoulder.
I was in the captain's chair. Yeah, no. Come on now.
A fight
No.
between Woe and Tabak.
Yeah,
That would
no,
be a pretty short fight, I gotta say.
more than likely, unless I get better.
So,
It would be a fair fight.
yep. Raldar, should you take the moment to sound off, you are also alive, and in spite of the new flames and jets of smoke that are coming out every which way, you are still okay.
I'm alive begrudgingly, Captain. As the sound of the fire extinguisher goes off.
Engines are on fire again.
I wish it was just the engines.
Fine. Everybody, grab a fire extinguisher and anything burning, put it out.
Oh.
That includes everybody here on the bridge. Go get fire extinguishers. Make sure the ship's not burning up anymore. Go now.
Sir, Captain, the
What?
Rantal.
What is your name?
It kind of opens its eyes a bit wider at that. I know nobody asked me before. I am Voprai.
Voprai?
Voprai.
Bry. Good. You too. Go get a fire extinguisher. Stop the ship from burning.
Captain, may I also open exterior vents for life support function? The flames are rapidly dwindling our usable oxygen supply.
And filling us with noxious smoke. Yeah, as long as the atmosphere. Do you have enough sensors to give me a
Atmosphere
clean
is.
analysis of the atmosphere?
My readings suggest atmosphere is breathable, nitrogen, oxygen. I have
Any
no more.
biological contaminants?
There were some possible signs of biological activity. Nothing possibly more sophisticated than an algae form of some sort.
Good. Yeah. Open the windows, clear the air out. Do it now. And then go grab a fire extinguisher.
Yep.
We got 5 decks that have got things burning in them.
And
nobody goes into the wings. That's Raldar and me.
and it is. I will go ahead and share with everyone now. The sensors officer is now. You actually know his name.
Yay!
I will choose to predict it.
You weren't even there, so there is
I was
no
gonna say I never
worry.
heard it.
Yep. But anyway, the crew will set to work attempting to uh, go about the ship and put out the various fires that have sprung up from uh, the less than optimal crash landing. Vopri does activate the external vents, so now there's an intake of air that is circulating through the ship. And yes, you're able to proceed about your time here. Um, so as the work continues, I guess we'll say that it's maybe over the course of an hour or so that you get that under control. But yet more damage has been incurred at this stage, Tabok. So I guess the question is, now that you have your crew is together and has things relatively in hand, but plenty more work to do. What would be sort of next order of business for you once things calm
Yeah,
down?
a full damage assessment. Obviously, both. I've got to go. Me and Raldar got to make sure we got to go out into the wings to make sure that, you know, the other engines out there aren't damaged. The big long EPS conduit going out to the engines. I mean, to the nacelles is still intact. Make sure nothing's burning because I'm not letting anybody else into those areas. So, but yeah, we got to assess the damage and then figure out what I can fix to get us off the rock and what I can rip apart to fix it with. Because I'm going to end up having to use the ship itself to fix the ship itself.
Indeed, indeed. Well, I think that I think that actually to proceed from here, we should probably, unless there's any sort of big crew get together that is about to happen, then we should probably run a quick roll for essentially a narrative initiative. So I would ask everybody to give me like a single D20 roll, and we will err on the low end of the rolls first to determine what order people go, of which Isaac seems to be in the lead at a natural 1. Tabak, would you like to roll in that as well? Or would you like to wait for everyone else to do their
I'm
bit?
trying to remember how to do it. There we go.
Spectacular. So,
My apologies.
you are all good. So, let us go about things. We already know, for reference, Captain Tabak will soon be off the bridge, not simply to put out fires, Mr. Korg, but also to just go about his sets of repairs. The question I want to have is, once you've done your bit for damage control, what do you think that uh, Ezek would be doing next? How would he engage with anyone in the crew, or do anything of the sort as you land, or after you've landed?
Well, I'd probably be fretting over the fact that I'm going to be owing Tavok some mess hall duties for a while. At least I owe him a ship painting um, at some point. But I think I'd just be working on the bridge, trying to make sure to get sensors up and running first, and then navigation and stuff like that as systems start coming back online. Not really fraternizing, just trying to get the ship back up and running. Pulling extra shifts if I need to help out.
I see. So not a lot of chatting so far as Mr. Korg is concerned. After the maybe a slight sulk of a sorts after accidentally crashing the ship.
He's a little frazzled. I think he started learning the command stuff, and in his mind he's kind of distracted a little bit. He felt like he was distracted a little bit by that. So he's kind of taking a step back and in his own mind just working through, okay, I almost crashed the ship. Next time I got to do better, pay more attention, stuff like that. So, yeah.
I see. Well, unless you wish for a particular scene with anyone else, we will go to next in the order, which would be Kresic with the 2. Before we do, anything else you'd want to do with other characters there?
No, we're good.
All
We're
right.
good.
Okay, so Kresic, as we follow on to you, I will say that some mix of bungee cable, I don't know, chewed up targ bone marrow, duct tape, what have you. You've managed to keep the Klingons, the Klingon patients you had in place. Everything was kind of jostled for a moment, but none of the still active stasis pods were damaged, and none of the patients seem to be any worse for wear. Um, there is the occasional bit of movement and growling that would suggest the small Klingon child is also okay, if maybe a little frazzled. Um, so with all
Very
that,
good.
yes, with all that said, what would you be doing now that the ship is on the planet?
Ships on the planet, first thing I'm going to do is contact the captain. Captain,
What?
do you need hands? I
You're going to
could.
have to work on context.
Do you need assistance? Perhaps I could wake some
They
patients to
no,
help.
they would be in no condition to assist.
They were going like.
But they're not, Doctor.
Fine.
What of the ones already awake?
So, out of character. Out of character. The ones that I've stabilized are still unconscious. So
You
that's what
have,
he was talking about.
yeah, you've kept those.
Bringing to some of the ones that have stabilized, not the ones that are in the stasis pods.
Yes, that would be accurate. They're definitely those that you've had to remove from the stasis pods or that you could rescue. They were they are not in good physical shape at the moment. They're somewhat weak and slightly sick from the process. Some combination of drugs, I would say, could uh, could stimulate them and get them into slight working condition.
Yeah. Basically, he's just trying to think of we don't have enough people on this ship to get it back up and running in any kind of time frame that is reasonable. So he is giving the captain that offer to wake some of the unconscious but stable patients in hopes that they will be able to assist sooner rather than later. That is the gist of what he is trying to relay to the captain.
Oh yeah, no, I got you on that. But then we have to feed them.
True.
Hunter new management slavery.
Yeah. Just
They can eat the
any
algae.
of the
There's
ones.
plenty of algae outside.
Yeah, we're gonna be bringing that crap on board too. I'm pretty sure. Do any of them have? Hey, how many of the ones that are awake are adults?
How many of the ones that I have out are adults, Mr. GM, sir? In working age.
I would say, let's see, just getting my math right here. I think that there are 9 that are presently awake, and that are out of the stasis pods and awake. Of that number, I would say 7 of them are adults, but only 5 are of a suitable working age. The remaining ones are a little bit more infirmed, or they are more advanced in their years.
Check to see if any of them have any useful skills.
Oh yes. Let me just read their minds real quick.
No,
Fantastic.
the ones who are awake. The wakeful ones. Ask them. How difficult is that?
They're still out unconscious. Like I'm keeping them sedated.
Then wake them.
Okay. It might be better if there was another soft skin here.
Give me 15 minutes. I have to seal this plasma conduit.
Good.
Yeah, finish the fix it part that I'm working on right now. It's
Okay.
basically just, torching a hole shut and head on down to the cargo bay.
Okay. Would you like to continue that scene here now, or would you like a moment to cut away? This is as much a question not just for Tabak, but of course for Rev or Kresik.
Does anybody else want to do something while we go to commercial break? And then come back from commercial break and you can do your stuff and do this? Nobody's piping up.
Hearing none will. It actually occurs to me anyway that next in the initiative would actually be you, Tabak. So I realize that yes, the question is somewhat moot. Tabak, you complete your repairs and make your way into the cargo hold of the Yan.
My current repair. I've got a lot more to go.
Yes. Yes. You arrive in the cargo section, where it is slightly more of a mess than when last you left it. It seems as though more of
That's
the cargo
beautiful.
containers are askance and otherwise knocked away. I wouldn't be surprised if Raldar also needed to come through here for a moment, or both of you might have at intermittent points. The ship does not have a complete set of the spare parts it would normally have, due to the cargo space that was reallocated for the life support pods, or stasis pods rather, that you were not informed of. Even beyond the grave, Calvek continues to vex you, Captain.
I hope he burns in Grethor.
But yes, you arrive down in the cargo bay, and find your way through. There are some Klingons that are just laying in the laying on the makeshift it's cots. So basically, Kresik has set them out on some cots.
Yes. All right, Krasik, let's get this over with.
And I.
Where's the girl? You're a child. Come here.
She peeks out from behind a crate and doesn't bother to approach.
Well, at least you're alive. All right. Now let's see what this one has to say.
And I wake up the 5 that are not infirm and not.
No, the moments pass. I will say that the first among them would be actually the father of the Klingon child that is awake. He will be the first to come to. We'll say, as stated, he's a man who, going off of Earth years, would look to be, you'd suspect late, late 30s essentially. I will go so far as to say as he has long, somewhat unkempt hair, uh, just a very slight mustache and beard, essentially, just enough to cover the chin, upper lip, and that area. I suppose a goatee would be the proper phrase for it.
Hmm.
He opens his eyes. They are a deep brown that strains in the relative lack of light as he looks around in a bit of confusion. What is this? What is this place?
Unfortunately,
Oh,
you're on board my ship, the Yan.
are we your captives?
No longer. Our former captain was the one who tried to sell you and the rest of these to Orions. When I discovered his dishonor, I killed him.
Well, instant relief comes across this man's face as you explain the circumstances.
Well, those are the circumstances as I know them. I
Yeah.
have no idea how you were taken, when you were taken, or where you were taken from. But if we can get off of this rock, because we were attacked and forced to land, and we are damaged, must repair to get out of here. This is why you were awakened. Your chambers were damaged. And so we have awakened you and these others because you're a very small crew, and I hope you have some useful skills. Or at least muscles and can follow orders.
Of that, Captain, we can help. My family, and it seems those of us that were among the taken, we were from Gleedan 2, a small agricultural colony. We were we do not have much heavy machinery on our world, but I know some rudiments, and I believe some of us could help. We can at least work, he says, trying to
You will be
sit up.
you will be ill. You will be ill for a little while after the drugs you have been on. Oh yes.
It is a bit nauseating, but
Yes.
we are
Whoa.
Klingons. We will persist.
I hit the button to call whoa on the communication systems. Whoa.
He
Whoa.
pops up from like right behind you.
Oh. You are sneaky.
Is there anything I can do for you, Captain?
Yeah, we're gonna need about a half a dozen buckets or garbage cans for these people.
All right. Right on it, and then
Yeah,
I guess
thanks.
he lumbers out of the room to get some.
How something that big can be that quiet always amazes me.
He shouts from like down the hall. It's all in the beans, Captain. All in the beans.
Oh, I like that Kazin.
The Klingon is the Kusha who has awoken has not just now taken notice of the Kazin, but also of the also of your Gorn partner there, Kresik.
Yeah, this is our
Probably
man.
around the time I put a reassuring hand on his shoulder and tell him very calmly, "I have your daughter."
Reassuring hand. A big slab of scaled claws just thumps on his chest. I have your daughter. Oh, right.
Perfect. Maybe it is the extensive time in stasis. Perhaps it is just the sheer shock of the circumstances of what undeniably would have been a violent encounter to have acquired them in the first place, to waking up here. This Klingon is mostly nonplussed about all of this. He does widen his eyes. That is to say, they go from the squint that he is trying to work with to something a little more full. To make contact. She is here. Is she safe?
She's safe. Wait, child. Your father calls you. Come to him.
And with that, the scampering of small feet come from behind you as she jumps up onto the cot that's set up and just goes to clasp her arms. You have done well, daughter.
Rest for now. When you feel better, and as these others feel better, we can begin figuring out how to fix things.
That will be done, Captain. Thank you.
And then I'm going to get up and go back to fixing whatever minor things I can fix, or at least stop from continuously breaking.
Yep. So as that goes, before we depart the scene, I will say some of the other Kushad are beginning to wake up as well. Uh, First, Kresik, is there any other sort of parting notes you would want in the scene as you?
Oh, as I'm like walking out the door, I stop, I turn around in the door frame, and I look at the farmer, and I say, "What is your name?"
Gardal.
Rodal.
Close enough, yes.
Sorry, you're the sorry the
I meant to
voice
say
broke
Gardal,
out.
but
Gardal.
yes, it
Okay,
came out
Gardal.
as Gradal, and I will accept either as canon.
Gardal, explain to your compatriots, please, the situation as I have. If they want to get off of this rock, it will be helpful if they help us. I am not going to save you from slavery and then enslave you. But I do need as much help as I can get. And then I turn around and walk out.
Um, so Gradal will on your he will accept on your honor as a still as a fellow Kusha that he will take what you say, and as he steadily feels more up to it, he will start talking to some of the others, at least initially to check in with them. Um, Before following you any further there, Tabak, I did want to ask, Kresik, did you have any parting notes that you wanted to make? Or
I think that's it. I'm just gonna kind of move into the background and focus on the patients that are still unconscious and let our newly awakened Klingon friend take care of the introductions to his fellow compatriots. That way I'm not in the way.
that sounds good. So, in that case, Tabak, before we left, were there any other sort of parting notes you wanted to make just before we go around?
No, I think that was about it.
Okay, good.
Remember, Klingons are very direct. You know,
Yes.
we just say what we're supposed to say and then move on.
Yep.
So,
So, as that goes on, next in the order would be Woe. So, just to give you a sense of where we are, Woe, the ship has, as you came into, just barely managed to land on this planetoid that is habitable so far as you can tell. The atmosphere agrees with you at the very least. Um, Before that, obviously, the ship's structure is kind of a mess. There's a lot of damage, shrapnel sprayed, fires that have been continuously needed to be put out, all that sort of thing. Um, it's been a difficult day since you ran from the Imperial fleet, and now on top of that, you're being sent to get buckets. So
I
once,
don't think the bucket thing is too bad.
yeah.
Let's
Well,
see. Well, sorry.
I was just going to ask him. Aside from that errand aside, is there anything else you are setting about doing now that the ship has landed?
Let's see. After I deliver the puke buckets and kind of give Kresic a quick nod, um, I think I would want to try and help repair the sensors so that I can do a sensor sweep to make sure we haven't had any like, you know, foreign aliens breach the ship while we've been indisposed.
Indeed, indeed. So, let's see. As I process that, I did want to ask: did you want to make a scene of that with anyone, or otherwise interact with particular players over the course of this?
Hmm. Uh, I kind of do, but I don't know what I would do.
Well, I mean, that's perfectly fine. I will say that if you have, there may be other things that we can have you do as well, and that just this initial bit is maybe something you do on your own. That being said, it would be work done from the bridge, so let me put you up there real quick and maneuver the scene such that you are up there. So um, let me just put this character. You return to the bridge, where you would find Mr. Korg working alone. Um, for the first time in a
Oh, and a dead
while,
body.
yes, for some reason, I cannot get rid of Kalvak's corpse there. I was positive I had erased that, but now it remains.
No, it's
Kalvak
just part of the
continues,
furniture.
yeah, part of the ship, part of the crew.
I see what you're talking about. This might be a
Oh,
your end problem.
Indeed so. In which case I think I can fix this between scenes here. Um, but let me try to resolve that here. There may be a very slight flitting around as we'll just say that Calvac's reputation perhaps continues to haunt this bridge.
yeah, yeah. I can smell the scent of shit in the air. All right.
But yes,
I walk over to
Blame
Azek.
your cat.
We blame Cheshire for nothing in this household. That is a beautiful creature. All right. She walks over to Azek and says, "Do you need any help?"
Sure, I could use some assistance, I think.
All right.
okay.
Let's see. What can I fix on the bridge?
Well, you were going to investigate the sensors a little bit. I was going to ask, did you
Yeah.
want to make this like a general sensor sweep? Were you more inclined to try and activate some sort of tactical setup, try to determine it if memory serves, you were looking more for essentially
Then-
any extra, like any planetary life forms, contaminants, or like
Yeah. I want to
we.
see if we picked up any kind of passengers of any sort.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
I will.
bacterial or otherwise.
Yep. I'll ask you to make me a reason and science roll. And
Oh God, why did I?
I'm going to
No.
assign a difficulty of 3, and well, because your head hurts about this, I'm going to spend 1 threat to increase your complication range.
You're so mean.
I
I've
am.
been here
I'm.
for like 5 minutes.
That's what you get
Oh,
for missing staff meetings.
He's
all
being mean
right.
to
Well,
you. You should see the ship.
Well,
oh,
there are no successes in that roll there, but there are no complications.
He didn't break anything. Good.
Yep.
Not this
God.
time.
Now listen, that wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
I take no responsibility.
You're a cat.
Okay.
You take no responsibility for anything.
Thank you. Glad
So-
someone understands me.
With that,
Um,
yes, well, there's no signs of anything in terms of ship damage. Well, rather, there's no sign of anything as near as you can tell that would be biological contaminants. That being said, you can't read the sensor telemetry all that well, so you probably wouldn't know to begin with.
Okay,
Or
is
best guess.
can I work on shields or anything else? Because obviously that sucked.
Well, at the moment, the major problems are with engines. Um, I believe there's still technically a breach that is to be sealed in communications. The most immediate damage is that's being felt would be engines, but the long-term sort
Oh,
of repairs would be communications and structure.
okay.
Technically, engines need it
And our
too.
weapon system's still out, isn't it?
The weapon systems did
Torpedoes
suffer.
work.
Yeah,
The
they.
torpedoes work.
Yep. The disruptors might also participate if you're really nice to them, but at least one of the wing mounts is currently damaged.
We've
Oh,
got the two on
couldn't
on either side of the bridge, and then 2 turrets back on the thing on the back. We don't have wing mounts on this thing.
I guess I'll work on structure because I feel like that's more important right now.
Yep.
And we do have a little bit of an arsenal going. Also, I have a value I could use if that's possible.
Well, that could be possible. I think that for what you are looking to do here, this would mean going to meet up with either Tabak or Raldar whilst you help them conduct repairs.
You know, I've already got blah, 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 blah. I've already got Tabok's favor. I think I'm gonna try and play off Raldar.
Oh boy.
Spectacular. So, Raldar, you I will say that you eventually would you be working in the engine room trying to repair things there, or would you say that you are elsewhere on the ship trying to make repairs to life support or the structural integrity? What would you be up to?
I think Raldar would be preparing to go outside to inspect the damage from out there.
Okay. As you are preparing I'm going to guess what of the ventral hatches I would presuppose. Reminding myself of the layout of the ship here. Let's see. There's indeed a landing leg there. Tell me, Tabak, where would you envision that one of the hatches is located? Or for egress?
There are probably access hatches for the dorsal surface. I'd probably say there'd probably be one in each wing,
Okay. So,
and probably on the very top of the
yes.
pod. And I believe there's ladders to give access to the sensor dome on top of the bridge. So you could probably get outside there as well, I would assume.
Yep. So, Raldar, you would more than likely be coming out through one of the wing hatches.
Those would probably be the largest ones because we'd have to get things in and out of those sections, and those would be the ones he would fit through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is part of the reason I suspect there might be a eventual option given the presence of the cargo bay. Um,
But the cargo bay, we've got an elevator to that opens up through the bottom.
that's right. That's right. Well,
Not anymore.
Well, I hope so, because that's also that elevator also moves things in between decks.
yeah.
It's also the Gorin transport mod.
Well, we also have a cargo transporter and a transporter, I believe.
Yep. None of which are
Although,
in terribly good working condition right now.
oh, there you
And
go.
that might have been even, at least for some of it, probably beforehand, just because, Calvec skimped and brought you out ahead of schedule.
Very idiot.
Yeah. But yeah, Raldar is probably out on the wing then at this point, beginning to survey the damage. As you step outside, the air is relatively cool and dry. The night sky playing against the clouds of Clac de Kelbrak to interact with an interesting way in the atmosphere. Like the effects are, it somewhat mutes the sickly deep browns and reds that you would get, but not completely. Um, Standing on that wing mount, which will go ahead and set the scene here. We can even go so far as to give us a very, very tiny Raldar here. 4 scale. Oop,
Banana for sale.
yes.
Banana.
Shrink down. It's maybe not quite to scale, but close enough. Um, So yes, as you arrive on the wing, you notice that there are fairly fairly large gashes from where disruptor banks, or rather the phaser banks of the D6s carved into carved into the Raptor. The Yan has definitely taken some very serious hits here, and there are large sections where the armor is compromised completely.
Lucky it's ablative.
And as you were speculating over this, coming out from the opposite hatch, is one of the only non-Gorn that can truly rival you for height. The Kazin.
Struggles to get out of the hatch. Like a reverse Santa Claus. The shoulders. And then finally she gets out. She's like, "Wow, it's beautiful out here, isn't it?"
It is very green.
You got some eyes on you, didn't you? But she kind of waltzes over and looks at the big deep gashes and like, "We took some damage, didn't we? Do you need a hand?"
Yeah.
She takes the yeah that he starts to agree with as yes, he absolutely does need a hand. He can't back out of it, it's too late.
I'm not sure how much of the outside we'll be fixing here.
We'll get done what we can get done.
Just look for holes if there's any leakage.
Right? And I go to do that, I guess.
Jump down into the fucking gash.
So with
Let's
this,
see.
I will say that if you want to actually get started here, well, first I think I will ask Raldar for an insight and engineering. Woe, you can assist with that role as well.
Okay.
And I am
Can
going. Go ahead.
would my hazard awareness focus apply for this?
It would. I am also going to spend one threat to increase your complication range. I should say the difficulty of this task is going to be set at 1. Oh,
All right.
okay, so you mostly you manage without complications there. I'll take one of those, one of the rolls there for you, Woe, since that was meant to be more of an assist. But with 3 successes, that will net you back 3 momentum, which will put you back up to full.
Yay.
With the situation you are in, Raldar, it becomes pretty clear that what patch repair kits you might have on hand are not going to be enough. In order to properly seal the bulkheads, you are probably going to need to remove like bits of wall paneling from unused sections in order to weld it in place and seal those breaches. Either that or leave some sections sealed off. If you want to maintain at least some of the resistance that you have, it does seem that the ship is going to need. You're probably going to need to basically shift around some of the armor plating in order to ensure more complete coverage. The net effect of this, because of the significant amount of damage that you've taken, I'm going to rule is that the ablative armor you have will only increase your resistance by 1 instead of the usual 2. And that is going to persist pretty much until you can find a facility or other resources to actually restore that plating. So this is a particular narrative shift that comes with that particular circumstance.
I mean,
Can we? I'm sorry. I'm interrupting, but can we cannibalize uh, some of those broken pods to use as parts and pieces and mitigate some of that a little, or no?
It will be useful for other repairs, but I don't think that it's quite the hull grade material that you would need.
Well, it might be able to seal it from the inside.
Yeah, that is true. That is part of what it would work. Part of what those components would work for.
fix up that life support.
Mm,
And just enough, mainly just enough at this point to maintain the pressure vessel so we don't vent more atmosphere. We're probably going to have to close off a whole bunch of compartments anyway, because we're not going to be able to close everything.
all right, but yeah, um, with that, you realize it's going to be quite a cumbersome job to start getting the hull repaired there, Raldar. As a matter of fact, I dare say it's going to be an extended task to seal off those breaches.
Oh boy.
Yep, which will actually be the first extended task of our game here.
I
Uh,
hate it. Send a task.
and you're the engineer, so you're going to be doing them. Um, at least in this one. And I'm going to go a bit of a step further. I'm going to say that this will more apply to a nebulous sort of ship repair. Um, and I'm actually going to give you a variable option. So with the with what you have on hand, you don't have enough supplies to completely repair the ship. That is something that the insight task you rolled there, Raldar gives you, that's something that Tabok's going to be able to figure out. When you assess what you have, you know that you can take care of some of these issues, but you can't replace everything. What I am going to give you is that with what you can cannibalize and with what wouldn't compromise other ship functions, here's what you can do. You can take... I will allow you to roll... basically, you could take one of two extended task options. The only difference being between them is that one is slightly longer. In both cases, it will be control and engineering. The magnitude on this task would be either, I think, 3 or 4, depending upon how much you want to, or how much you want to do with it. The work track is what is also going to be variable. For the work track 3, it's going to be, or rather for the magnitude 3, it's going to be a work track of 18. For the magnitude 4, that's going to go up to 24. Now, what these will get you is that if you just go for the work track 18, that will essentially, in narrative, it will allow you to say that life support is repaired and in good working order, that a number of the a number of the ship's areas are more livable. Armor and hull plating are somewhat redistributed. In terms of meta, I will allow you to use that to seal off one of your breaches. Now you can elect to stay slightly longer and have the option of sealing off one additional breach. That's if you take the slightly longer task.
We'll take the slightly longer task.
Okay.
Sorry, that's keep the ship moving.
Yeah, understandable. And you do have a few breaches at this point, with, I believe, one in engines, one in structure, or well, no, two rather in structure, but one in engines, weapons, and communications. So those breaches will go away depending upon which ones you choose, but with that you will get to eliminate 2 breaches. I suppose I would be prepared to say that they could both be of your choosing. I was slightly inclined to say that structure would need to be one of them, and I imagine, honestly, you would want to get rid of one structural breach anyway.
Yes, structure and engines at the moment, I think, are our 2 most important ones.
Yep.
That's my opinion.
Yes.
We need to be able to breathe, and we need to be able to fly.
Mm-hmm. So, since we are still in the scene with these two, I think that we will start with, I'll actually ask for Raldar and Woe to go ahead and give me the first of these repairs here. So, one of you may take lead and the other may assist with control and engineering.
I believe
I'll
I.
assist.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Now,
will do my job.
the GM is
Yeah.
going back to make sure, but I believe. Oh,
I drop
I'm.
the task roll down to 1 when I'm assisting.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
So, for this, because of the length of work that's being done here, I am going to say that we'll call this difficulty 2, just to get started, which you will clear easily. So, yep, with Woe's assist there, Raldar, you get 1 success, and then Woe adds on the additional 2, so that will overcome that initial barrier. You have 1 floating momentum. I'm going to ask you to set your dice roller, the challenge dice roll that is, just below the task roller. Set that to 2 plus your engineering discipline. So that should be a total of 6.
All right.
And then when you enter it to when you set that value to 6, I want you to push enter before you roll those dice. Spectacular. So that on its own, that would be 2, 3,
Holy
or
crap!
rather 4, 6. That would be 8. I did not mention resistance. There is some resistance here. I'm going to say
Use the floating.
I'm going to say there's 2 resistance. Yes, that's what I have in my notes. I'll be sure to log this down for everyone. But that is still 6 points on the work track, which definitely goes a long way towards fixing the ship. As a matter of fact, that will score 1 breakthrough. So that will reduce that will, I believe that would cut into resistance a bit. And that sets you well on your way towards completing the repairs at hand. So I'm going to log that here. As you begin repairs on the hull, Woe, Raldar, you have your share of time with plasma cutters and start pulling out like what spare patch kits you have that helps make this initial set a very early. It helps the early work go by a little bit faster because this is essentially what was meant to be done for the initial work. Let's see here. Would you be passing the time any particular ways you go through the work, or would you be anything either of you would say to each other?
I think I'd be singing. And also, I just keep imagining some weird ghost scenario of me working behind Ronaldo.
Where's the ghost or the goo creature from the planet?
As you say that, I'm gonna drop 2 threat. Tell me, would this? I am introducing a bit of a narrative change here. So, tell me, Woe, as you were going about this, what is this little ditty that you are singing here? Would this be something from the days with that old, long departed crew, or something further before? Maybe something from childhood.
It's kind of a sea shanty. And all that's coming to mind is the Wellerman, which is driving me crazy.
Oh no.
Uh,
The question is where does that memory most closely hew to?
oh, it's just it's a slight memory of whenever I was alone with my pack, and I was probably 12 or 10.
Some residual exposure
And
to Earth culture you might have picked up.
yeah, just right in the beginning.
Yes. With each verse, the memory becomes more vivid, and the you feel the swell of a swell of memory of better times, such as they were in that long departed fleet. As you go through verse by verse, you realize that other voices have joined you in song, those similar to your own, of the other Kazindi children, and I don't know. Did the adults ever join in with you during some of this, or was it
Of
just
course,
some?
we need the base.
Yeah, the 1 or 2 adults who didn't mind singing along with you, going through this process. back in the days of that fleet, there were probably some bits of scorn um, reserved for the reserved for those old Earthways. There's some bad blood among some of the fleet, so far as they were concerned. Um,
I'm like, I hear them very clearly, and I don't stop singing. And I have tried to wrangle Raldar into doing it too, just so he could go the part, and he won't do it. I'm assuming.
yes, yes.
I don't know how to sing opera.
That's why
Anything
you
that's
just
not
gotta go
opera.
boy. All you gotta do is go
All I know is opera. I don't know sea shanties.
Indeed, indeed. Um, but yes, woe the. I would say that the as the song continues, you find yourself getting more and more into it, and your disappointment melts away as the voices of the other Kizintosh join with you, and you find that they are all working quite perfectly as you handle the blowtorch. Wait a minute, where is your blowtorch?
I didn't know I had a blowtorch.
Yeah, right. Why
Just
would
Plasma
over
storage
here,
why
and stuff
would
like,
like
you?
that.
Yeah. Now, why on for what reason could a young Kazintosh such as you ever need a blowtorch? There's absolutely nothing of the sort that would it would make no sense whatsoever. Um,
which is exactly why she has to have one now.
you very much contemplate the idea of handling another blowtorch, but the as the song begins to near its end, you look amongst the rest of you and you look amongst yourself and the other Kazintosh that are in with you in the in the small agricultural dome that you presently find yourself in. Um, the children seem to be all in it. The children all seem to be in pretty good spirits. They love a nice little ditty, and so do you. For at that tender age of 12 as you are now, it's very much a nice common affair to occasionally break out into this. It's nice between the agricultural work that is sometimes needed to support the actual food in this fleet, as it were.
I'm just imagining, like, being like almost brought to tears as we're all singing, and I reach out and grab the other children's hands, and we're skipping and just soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the fun is done, we'll take our leave and go. And then I guess she snaps out of it maybe.
Hmm. You see one of the adults on the ship, and one that sort of manages the cycles of labor, give a disapproving glare over this over the use of Earth music. Kazintosh, you will not earn your names with this frightfully offensive singing.
I kind of cower away.
Yep. As you
All
be,
the joy ripped from the room.
yes, and that as as that disapproving glare is met, and you find yourself shirking, do you back off entirely, like try to hide behind anything as the supervisor comes in, or are you more at this point? Would you say that you are like just kind of looking down or kind of sulking a little bit?
I think I'm looking down. I haven't quite hidden. But then, like, I raise my head finally and make eye contact. A little bit challenging. Not enough, but a little bit.
The
And
the
I just kind of. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
the Kazan leader will pass you by. Do good deeds for the fleet, and your life may last long enough to earn some recognition. But it is not this day, nameless one.
Kind of just clench my little fists and look him dead in the eye and I go, someday I'll be a great warrior. I'll be the greatest that's ever lived, and the only name in Xin history will be mine.
You're greeted with a bit of a smile as the figure reaches down to sort of brush your head a little bit at that comment. Of course, you never feel that as you find yourself staring back in the planet out towards Raldar. Raldar, uh, you're not sure what prompted this particular sentence, but there's a determined look in Woe's eyes as she glanced toward you and announced that she would be the greatest warrior in Kzinti history, and that only her name would echo through history.
Well, great ambition. Doesn't get us off the planet, though.
Yeah. That that retort does jog you back there, Woe.
I look at him and who the fuck asked you? And I throw a wrench at his head.
Well, you're the one shouting your hopes and dreams to me down while you're up there.
I did no such thing. Never happened.
Well, you want to be the greatest Tanzinti warrior in history.
You're gonna be the deadest Gorn on this fucking ship if you don't shut up.
I like to see you try, greatest warrior.
Oh, it's fucking Monday, and I jump to wherever the hell he is in regards to me.
Oh boy.
Yes, very rapidly I imagine playful fisticuffs or not so playful blow torching is about to begin. Oh dear, oh dear.
I can't tell if he's playful, but I am playful.
Spectacular.
It all depends on if you draw a knife or not.
No, it's just fists.
Alright.
Yeah, that is a good question. Of the weapons that you acquired, well, how many of them are affixed to you now?
Let's see. Looks
That's
like
a
I have
good
3 weapons on
question.
me. Someone gave me 3 weapons. All right. Oh, I also have the gauntlet is the dude, but I'm wearing them on my legs because I thought they looked slamming. Plus, I already have gauntlets.
Ah.
Yeah.
Alright.
So suffice to say, Woe is armed to the teeth. But yeah. With that, I think so that would run through our list of narrative initiative for those scenes. I would like to ask, does anybody else want a scene, perhaps something to close us out for this evening? Well,
Yeah,
How
I would like
complex-
to. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead. I already had a scene.
Mine's silly.
Yeah, then mine was gonna be go for yours.
Let's hear it.
Okay.
all the
I want
japes.
to make sure as we're reconstruct, we're making sure all the systems work. I want to make sure that our music library on the bridge still works. The singing outside of the ship got me kind of rocking for some what is that, the Klingons, the do keles da da. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
that one.
set it to broadcast throughout the ship?
If the captain will allow it,
I'm busy.
then
I wouldn't
yes,
stop
Explodes
you,
a
yes
power
power
we
conduit.
will.
Explodes
You
a power conduit,
yep.
turning it on.
You for Japes, I'm going to ask you to give me a, let's call this control and command roll, and you may be
So you're
assisted by the
basically
ship's communications and engineering, I suppose.
so you're going to be turning on the iPod and sticking it into the communication system.
Sure, I can roll really good for that, but I can't roll good for piloting.
We didn't die. That was
Yep.
good.
Yeah, it takes a moment to get the computers to respond, but you manage to locate your personal music library, find the audio file, and sure enough, throughout the ship, stirring Klingon songs of victory and like battle begin to broadcast throughout the ship. Um, Tabak, I'm sure that even over the noise from wherever you are working as you begin to disassemble some of the life support pods, rather the stasis pods for the scrap. Uh, I would say that you
Parts,
probably hear that. Yeah,
parts, not crap.
fair enough. Um,
Fucking,
um,
fucking the sound inside the ship, all glorious fighting. The sound outside, the sound outside the ship.
oh jeez.
Ah,
Yep.
brilliant.
Yeah. I dare say some of that. The music is going to echo throughout the ship. In the cargo bay, it's a bit of a surprise for the steadily roused Klingons that have come out of that Kresik has been reviving. But it is a welcome one for a time. Indeed, some might even join them in some of that song. Um, Amidst whatever repair, I could imagine Tabak that you might like lift up goggles for a moment when you stop the blowtorch to look and see where that's coming from, and
It's coming from everywhere, but yeah, I would join in for at least a verse or two,
yep,
pounding on a console that's not functional.
yeah, something that you know you won't break further.
Correct.
Uh, and
Just
amid,
imagine Raldar being thrown through the wall.
yeah,
I hope not. That would be coming through the hull.
uh, to be fair,
I
he's
want
being
that.
thrown through an existing hole in the hull.
Okay, there's
No,
that. Okay.
yep. But no, we zoom out onto the from here we would zoom out into the valley that the Yan has landed in, and there would just be the faint echo of this epic Klingon, this rousing song amidst the relative dark of the night and the playful mock combat between Woe and Raldar. And with that, I think that is where we can close off tonight's session. So
And
I,
then Majel Barrett's voice comes out and says, "To be continued."
yes, yes. But
Ah.
until then, we will, for those on the recording, we will see you next time. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. For those that are watching on YouTube, I'd say, drop a comment if you like what you're seeing, and maybe at least throw us a like, what have you. Till then, we will catch you later, and hope you have a good day.